Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Kelley. This is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. This is TruthCat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It's now 6:03 p.m. It is June 6th. Is that right? June 6th? Did I get that right? No, July 7, fireworks. Yeah, I got it. Ugh. My head's riled from fireworks. No, yes, it is now July 6, 2023. Welcome to the show. I had a title for you, but the title is a little long. You know, I notice a lot of these shows, they give you very long descriptive titles to kind of explain everything that they're going to talk about. And where I like to be more artsy and kind of come up with something cute. So this show, I kind of wanted to say something like, let's see. Okay, here we go. False flag imminent. You know, I'm talking about Ukraine, Zaporozhye. And I wanted to also add, let's see what else I want to talk about. Lewis and that nonsense, the Kerry Cassidy nonsense. I don't even know how to really phrase that properly, but that's hitting the flag, hitting the fan big time. Let's see what else. Oh, gosh. See, this is hard, all the silly things I wanted to try to talk to you guys about. But, oh, yeah, the flyer campaign. Woohoo. I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you guys about a lot of stuff, but let's start out first of all with the, I suppose the Ukrainian nonsense. And I want to first say that everything that we talk about or everything that I'm going to try to present to you tonight is related to the Getty mission, because ultimately the Getty mission is very important, and because a lot of what's happening in the world right now, the eminent false flags, the political things, the disruption in countries, France on fire, people slapping Trudeau, the crap that's going on in the EU and NATO. I mean, I could go on and on about that, but then there's all kinds of other big stuff going on, like the Sound of Freedom movie, SOF, that so many people are talking about, and the various different efforts that are being made to counter the Getty message. Yeah, there's a lot of that coming right now. There's a whole slew of information and propaganda coming out talking about human trafficking and child rescue and this kind of thing. All of a sudden it's fashionable, and all of a sudden Hollywood is all over it. But once again, of course, they don't mention me, which is another thing that I need to talk about. Again, I want to talk about Russia and nuclear bombs first, but there are people out there, they're getting a little concerned because the group is sounding like a cult, mostly because you guys are focusing on me. And, of course, I'm telling you that this needs to be done in order to carry out the mission, because otherwise we're not going to make it, because that's part of the plan. Divide and conquer and keep people weak by making them all depend on each other to make executive decisions when you only really need one person, which is what their biggest fear is. But some of you have gone so far as to call it a cult that we're activating. And I kind of get pissed off when I hear that, because, first of all, this is not a church, even though I tell you this is all the church you need. At the same time, we're not a church. You're not coming into our house. You're not worshiping at our house. You're not listening to, you are to some degree, but you're not giving me money, okay? I'm not telling you that you need to tithe and you need to donate. You do need to help out financially, but you're not making me rich, I mean, I could tell you my Social Security didn't show up this month. Yeah, we're like, 7 days into the month, or 6 days, and it hasn't showed up. Now, again, I don't care, but it's just kind of funny to me that after one check, suddenly they don't come anymore after that. I'm kind of, curious to see. I mean, I wasn't holding my breath. I didn't really expect them to ever send me money. So if they said, hey, wait a minute, you can't be sending money to the Stephen Kelley guy, that's kind of what I expect. But at the same time, my PayPal, I can't even look at my PayPal without help, okay? People, I don't have my own bank account, okay? My PayPal is technically not my PayPal, but that's what I live on, okay? And that's what's paying the bills, and I get a little email that tells me that this bill or that bill got paid, and that's how his stuff works. But anyway, so I want to thank you all that do help out. But again, cult. What is a cult? People, I asked someone, what is a cult? They said, well, a cult is when you're worshiping someone. Okay, Worshiping. Are you guys worshiping me, really? I don't think so. Seriously, I really don't think you're worshiping me. I'm not asking you to. I am asking you to spread my name and make sure that the enemy focuses their efforts on me, because I'm confident that they can't defeat me as easily as they can someone else. That's really the key to this whole mission, but that's not worship. Now, I did basically, after as a matter of fact, as of afterthought, point out that, well, I suppose the person in particular that was calling it a cult was actually a doctor. I'm not going to go into any more, a surgeon, to be a little more specific, but this particular person was calling us a cult. And I'm thinking, well, I can understand that coming from a doctor, because I do miracles. Okay, yeah, I've healed all kinds of things. I can't even keep track of it. I mean, industrial scale, hundreds and hundreds of people have received miracles, sometimes life-saving, sometimes, plastic surgery, crooked spine, short leg, crooked face, whatever, bad gas. But I've healed plenty of people who are dying or would die of pneumonia. I've healed a woman who was blind, clinically blind, and the doctor said no, she must have never been blind. But these are the same doctors that charged her all kinds of money and treatment to treat her blindness. But anyway, that's another story, and that's not what this is about. But the point is that in an environment such as Occupy the Getty / Stephen D. Kelley, that is on Telegram, that I hear is being cloned all over the place now, we do stuff like that. We talk about Jesus. We talk about your skills, your divine powers, your gifts. And I do healing and all kinds of crazy things. So sure, it probably looks like a cult and smells like a cult. But I'm not Jim Jones. I'm not standing up there screwing your wives and forcing you to drink Kool-Aid and taking you out into the middle of the jungle and telling you to sell all your possessions. No, that's bullshit. What am I telling you to do? Print leaflets and tell people and educate them about Occupy the Getty, educate them about the mission. This is not Hare Krishna. I'm not selling a religion. I'm selling information and facts, and the information and facts shouldn't be attacked. It should be challenged. The proper approach to dealing with information, at least as far as the enemy is concerned, is to challenge that information, not to control it or try to censor it, but to come out and prove that it's not true. And that is the whole purpose of Occupy the Getty, is to force the power that be to prove that it's not true. But again, the bottom line is, and this is really the real key to everything, and that is our very government is involved and always has been involved and is responsible for the child trafficking and the child sacrifice and satanic worship. It is satanic. The very thing that we are fighting, it is also the government. The government is not in control. The government is the thing that was put there to control us, but the thing that controls the government is the very same thing that is eating the children. And you cannot solve that without completely removing and replacing the government that is complicit in this. And all we need to do is prove it's true. And this is why the FBI can't do shit. All they can do is follow orders and do what they can, but they can't do anything that won't promote the mission. Just like Silly Lewis, when he put me on the air with Carrie Cassidy and actually shared that video, or allowed other people to copy it and share it, and it's being shared. They weren't expecting that to happen. They didn't expect that I would go on there and go crazy and go money changer on them. They didn't expect that. And they didn't expect that the effect that it would have. And they thought that by letting me go crazy and act impolite and yell and scream and cuss and tell these people that they're worthless scum, they thought that somehow that would make me look like a crazy person instead of making them look like greedy, worthless scum, which is exactly what happened. So Carrie, from what I hear, I haven't seen because I don't follow this stuff. I hear she's falling apart. How can this woman even talk about aliens anymore when I told her entire following that she's paid to talk about aliens to make us all look stupid. And again, I'm not saying that aliens don't exist. I'm just saying that this is not a business. It's just one facet of reality. And the facet that we need to focus on, the only facet that we need to focus on, is the one that will expose the people that are eating the children. That's really the only thing, because once we do that, of course, it will completely end. They will go away, and we will win this victory. Now, again, everything they do now, the purpose is stopping this. Now, a lot of you, and this is unfortunate, when I talk about the FBI and I talk about the government, you know I'm not talking about the stupid agency or the stupid government. No, it's the people that control it. And this applies to everything else, including the political parties. So when I say this or that, it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with Biden. I don't care about any one of these political parties. First of all, Occupy the Getty is a movement for the world. It's not just for the United States. It's not for California, Los Angeles. It's for the entire world. And if you join our group, you will see that we have people from all over the world. We have every nationality. We have every demographic. We have Muslims. We have Jews. We have Christians. We have everything else in between. We have, well, let's just say we're represented in every country. And I'm extremely pleased and happy that you guys are out there. And the fact that you guys now are actually spreading this information on paper, you should be, because that's what the whole last show is about, is extremely important. Now, before we move on, I just want to remind you that this movie, this thing put out by Tim Ballard, whatever it is, first of all, this Sound of Freedom movie, people like to say that it was censored, it was suppressed. Well, what happened was that it was made by Fox. It was a production, a Fox movie production, and Fox was bought by Disney. And when Disney bought Fox, one of the first things they did was they shelved that movie. That's why it was never seen. So why is it being shown now, when Disney is the same company it always was and is still the owner and is still in control and completely behind the distribution that's going on now? This movie is in theaters right now at the convenience and wishes of Disney. So when you run out and you go, oh, this is horrible, where in the video does it mention that there are tunnel access points in Disneyland, Disney World? Where is that mentioned? Where is it mentioned that all of our government institutions all have tunnel access? All of them, including the FBI. Of course, we're told, well, why wouldn't they? That's continuity of government. That's what this is all about. Shouldn't government agencies have access to the bunkers so that they can continue? Isn't that the whole purpose of continuity of government? No. They don't do that in Russia. In Russia, they build all these bomb shelters, and they're for everybody. Every country does that. Even North Korea. North Korea's got one of the greatest bomb shelters in the world. It's called the subway. Only their subway is built really super deep in the ground. It's not because that's the best place to build subways. It's because it's an instant bomb shelter. So, yeah, all their people have access to it. We don't have access to shit. What do we got? A fallout shelter? What is a fallout shelter? It's protection from shit falling from the sky after the bomb has already gone off. It's not going to protect you if the bomb hits you where you're at or you're anywhere near the epicenter or the perimeter of the bomb blast. Okay? So, if we become such a thorn in the side of these people and we get to the point where Occupy the Getty is getting ready to destroy their entire organization and bring them down and expose them, what have they got left? They can start making stupid movies like Sound of Freedom and start throwing people under the bus. But what the Sound of Freedom even mentioned bunkers built by the government? No. What is it? Filipino children being sold to people in some other country, sheikhs or something. I have no clue. But all I know is there's no CIA, there's no NSA, there's no mafia, there's none of that. What do you got? You got fake Jesus, and you got Mel Gibson, who are just as corrupt as anybody, or they wouldn't be in Hollywood. And if, like I said, if Mel Gibson had any balls at all, he would have been talking to me a long time ago. But he doesn't. And don't act like he doesn't know who I am. Because even when that stupid, that video, that interview with Herms and Kerry Cassidy came out, it ended up on all the Trump channels. They're showing it now on BS Telegram Trump channels. Now they got that video. What's the title of the video? You know, like I said, you got to have real descriptive titles. The title is Louis Herms and then Kerry Cassidy and then Stephen Kelley get into big argument, big on air. That was the title of the video. Now, that sounds sort of like the sort of thing that I'm like, wow, I want to hear this big argument. I want to hear these people screaming. You know, well, at least I was screaming. But either way, since when do Trump channels or videos put out by these people on Trump channels have my name on them? Isn't that a little strange, don't you think? Isn't that a little wild? So anyway, so the point is the penetration of this stuff is undeniable. Okay, they can't deny it anymore. More and more often, I am seeing Getty stuff, bastardized Getty stuff, in Trump channels. They're working very hard to connect us to Trump, to suggest we're something like, you know, January Sixers or whatever, credit MAGA guys, you know, Proud Boys or whatever the hell, 3%ers, whatever. These guys, the ones that they're demonizing right now, as if to suggest that somehow that this movement that's been around a lot longer than Trump is somehow connected to all that crap, and we're just a bunch of crazies just like them. Now, it's not going to work. Nothing they do is going to work because a lot of people are coming and they're realizing a lot of things. They're realizing that these guys that are supposedly truthers are selling crap. They're lying. All they care about is making money. They're realizing that Trump is just another mafioso. He's just another mafia boss. They're hearing things that they weren't supposed to hear, like Robert Vesco, Donald Nixon, Intertel. You know, you're not supposed to know about that. You're supposed to be using words like cartel, deep state, you know, like white hats, this kind of thing. That's crap they made up. There are no white hats. The only white hats there are Occupy the Getty. So I want to really commend those people. We're only 21 minutes in. I'm going to start talking about this false flag thing. All right, I've been telling you for weeks now that Ukraine, i.e., you know, the cabal, the whatever you want to call it, deep state, or the mafia, Intertel, you know, the bastards that we're actually fighting that really are in control, not the whatever you think they are. They're going to try to start World War III really bad, because that's probably the best way to get people to stop talking about child trafficking and stop thinking that kill Russians is the thing to do. Well, in spite of what you might have heard on the radio or on the TV or in your whatever propaganda organ, you know, government propaganda organ you're listening to, you probably haven't heard that Russia is winning this special military operation decisively, slowly, patiently, but decisively nonetheless. And this so-called offensive, these great grand offensive that involved, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment, billions of dollars of equipment over all this time to build up and train for, it fizzled out. It's stalled. They say it's stalled. It's dead. Okay. The only advancement, the only offensive going on right now is the Russians. You don't hear that. So what's left? A lot of talk about negotiation, talks about, well, you know, all we got to do is capture some territory and put Russia in a position to give concessions and yada yada bullshit like that. They need to give up. They should have taken the deal they had offered to them months and months ago. Anything they do now, is not going to include like, oh, you know, the Zaporozhye region and Kherson region, and forget about Crimea, but all this other territory they annexed, Donbass and Lugansk, that's gone. That's gone. And it's this territory is going to keep, the more they screw around trying to get that territory back, the more territory they're going to lose. That's just the way it is, because that's what they're asking for. But here's the thing. NATO is having a big meeting in Vilnius, which is, was it Lithuania? I guess it is, capital of Lithuania. And this is only days away. Okay, I don't know exactly what day it is, but I know it's only just a few days away. So fortunately, I get to talk to you before this event, because at that event, they would have the power to declare actions such as, Article 5 of their charter, which basically means that all the NATO partners, including the USA, have to go to war with whoever that is hurting another NATO country. In this case, we're going to suggest Poland or something like that. So how do they do that? What are they going to do? They're going to do a false flag attack on the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Now, bear in mind, this is the largest nuclear power plant in the world. It's got 6 reactors. They're huge. It's old Soviet, whatever. But they're suggesting now that the Russians are going to destroy it. They've done everything they could. They've drained the water on the river. They busted the dam. They did all this stuff thinking, well, you know, it won't get cooling water. Maybe that'll do something. But for the most part, these 6 reactors are in sleep mode. Some of them are completely shut down, but the ones that are still working, they have to be put into sleep mode, because you can't be making electricity when there's nowhere for it to go, i.e. wires. Anyway, so Zelensky, whatever you want to call that asshole actor clown idiot that's supposed to be the president of, I want to say fucking Ukraine, those guys, he gets on a video and he says that, I mean, they've been saying this for a while, but now he's saying that there are what appears to be bombs placed on the top of these buildings, these nuclear reactors, these facilities, placed on top. You know, there's some boxes or something. I think they resemble bombs. This is what he said. He used the word resemble. And then he goes on to say that any attack on these things or any destruction of these things, you know, again, suggesting that the Russians are going to blow these things up themselves, should be considered an attack on the world, because radiation affects everybody in the entire world, as if to suggest that if radiation is released from this thing because Russia did it, then this would be an attack on the entire world. And then he goes on to say, and this is really, you know, it's like these idiots, their psychology is really poor, but he says, no other entity but Russia could do this. No other entity at all, suggesting that, in other words, don't even think for a second that Ukraine did it, because only Russia could do it. That's the only thing you could possibly consider that Russia would do this. Now, here's another thing. The USA, or NATO, whatever you want to call it, is flying a special airplane in the vicinity of that area. Just, you know, what is it? Towards the west, of course. And the purpose of this aircraft is to measure radioactivity. Now, it hasn't been there before, but all of a sudden we're flying a plane, a NATO plane, specifically for the purpose of measuring radioactivity. You know, probably flying over Poland and these NATO states that are being so belligerent. So now, why is it there? Because they're expecting that before this meeting of NATO in Vilnius, that they're going to be able to report radioactivity that's going to come from some supposed Russian destruction of this plant or somehow. Now, bear in mind, of course, these plants, a nuclear plant, there's a lot of concrete involved, okay? It's not, you could shoot missiles at one of these domes that house one of these reactors, and it's not going to do a whole lot. It's going to have to be a pretty big damn missile. Now, we haven't supplied anything that big to Ukraine. The most likely weapon that would be used in a false flag scenario would probably first be the Storm Cloud cruise missile, which was delivered by Britain, which doesn't have a huge explosive, but if you had several of them and they're all hitting with some precision, which you would expect from a cruise missile, then perhaps that might do some damage. Now, here's the thing. Even if you were to fire quite a few Storm Shadows at these reactors, or even focused them all onto one single reactor, they probably wouldn't hurt it. Because to date, even bridges, they accused Russia of blowing up a dam here recently, and they said the Russians took a Yugo and filled it up with explosives and blew it up, or was it a Lada or whatever, Russian car. Obviously, that was crap. But the thing is that they've been trying to destroy bridges before. Like, for instance, the Kerch Bridge, they had to use a truck full of explosives. All the missiles they fired at it didn't do anything. Just like the bridges and roads that the Russians have been using, going over dams and things like this on the Dnieper, they haven't been able to reduce or destroy any of these things. Maybe a little bit of damage, but stuff that can be repaired really easily. So the point is that those weapons aren't really good for much. The most effective use for a Storm Shadow missile is to fire it into the Donbass and hit a nursery or a kindergarten or a children's hospital or something like that. It'll go in and put a hole in the wall and kill a few kids and, do some terrorism. But otherwise, as a strategic delivery system, it's a joke. It's more of a terrorist weapon. So when the first shot fails, which is shooting these Storm Shadows, or what they call them, at the reactor, if they can't get it to be damaged enough to actually put out radiation, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to take an old Soviet ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, an old Soviet nuke, big rocket, and they're going to load the payload full of radioactive material, waste material that they've gotten from one of the other nuclear facilities that they have in Ukraine, that they've got quite a few. You remember Chernobyl? That's right there. Anyway, so they've got plenty of radioactive waste that they can load into a rocket, and they can fire in the direction of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. The thing is with something like that, they don't even have to hit the power plant, because they're not trying to destroy the power plant to cause radiation to get into the air. The radiation's inside the warhead. The warhead is the radiation. So when that thing hits anywhere near, if it's shot down by the Russians, which it probably will be because they're really good at that, it's still going to crash, and it's still going to release a lot of waste, and that crap's going to go up in the air when the damn thing explodes. And that stupid plane flying over, measuring radiation, is going to go tick, 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 tick. We have detected radiation in Polish territory. A NATO member is being endangered and has radiation entering the country. That's an active war, and we need to enact Article 5, and all the NATO members, including the United States, with all our jets and shit, has to go to war with Russia because, Putin's evil and all that. This is where we're coming to. So that's the false flag. Whether or not anyone dies from it, it's hard to say. It depends on how much crap they put in the missile. And, when you've got a guy like Zelensky saying, whatever you do, don't blame us when this thing happens that we're describing to you right now. Don't blame us, because it can't be us. It can't be us. And at the same time, you got guys like Zelensky saying, the CIA knows everything we do. They're aware of everything we do. And yet here's the CIA saying, we had no idea they were going to do these incursions into Russia, and they were going to use these missiles into Russian territory. We specifically told them not to do that. But, it turns out, and this is the funny part, it turns out these guys lie. They don't tell the truth. Wait a minute, hold on, you're kidding me. Zelensky, the rest of these clowns, these Bodanovs and what have you, these SBU fuckers, the ones that have been planning all these terrorist activities, the ones that they blew up when Russia took out that command center here recently, the ones you haven't seen a lot recently. those guys, you didn't know those guys were liars? The damn Zelensky was a TV performer. Everything about the guy is a lie. He was a puppet that you created. You're going to act now like you don't know that he's a liar and you don't know that he's doing these things, or that what he's saying about you knowing everything isn't true? When is he a liar and when he isn't? So the point is that, as we know, the CIA are the same people that are stealing the children, delivering them to the Getty. They're the same people that are working with the Ukrainians to make sure that their nuclear dirty bomb delivers just enough radiation so that they can pick it up in the air and they can tell all these idiot NATO members at Vilnius that we are under attack. Every one of us is under attack. You know, a little bit about NATO, just how disgusting NATO is. I mean, what's more disgusting, NATO or the EU? It's really hard to say. There's a guy that runs NATO right now. He's German. I think his name is Stolzenberg. But he was supposed to be replaced right now for, his term is up. He's like, time for someone else to take his seat. And yet they can't find anybody. Now, I know a lot of you people, they don't care, but there's a guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was from Britain. He was a British dude. And he was the one that the rest of the EU and the rest of the NATO members, they thought, okay, this is the guy that we need to put as the head of NATO. But the problem is that this shit's all about money. It's all about corruption. And the United States said no. Biden said no. If Biden says no, that means his puppet masters said no. But why would they say no to this British guy and prefer somebody like, what's her name? Von der Leyen, Ursula von der Leyen, or Ursula von der Crazy, whatever you want to call her, the head of the EU. They want her to be the head of NATO, as if, right? As if. Well, anyway, Stolzenberg, they told him he's got to stay another year. And this British guy, they said, no way, we don't want him. Why? Because he would be giving all these NATO contracts to British aerospace and Britain. Of course, because that's what it's all about, not buying American goods. It's not that the British product are any better or they can produce more of it. It's just that, these people are all corrupt. That's the whole purpose of this war. I mean, it's not just to kill off Russians. It's to basically take all this aid and put most of it in their pockets. Anyway, so obviously, what can we do about that? All we can do is talk, and that's why I'm talking about it right now. And the more of us that talk about and basically say that that's what they're going to do, hopefully the retards, the ones that still believe what they hear on TV, the ones that still buy the Apolline or whatever bullshit comes from my God, it's like, here I am on this show with Lewis saying, you jerk offs, you care more about selling Apolline and crap than saving children. And this channel that is basically displaying the video is sponsored by Apolline. It's got a big ad for that crap. It's like, oh my God, are they that stupid? I guess so. But anyway, it should be pretty simple to see what's going on. All right, when I come back, I'm going to go on a little bit more about something else, but I'm going to take a break. Okay, Rob, I'm looking at this thing. You're talking about Pink Floyd. Okay, I want to see a meme. I want to see the faces of these grifters. You know who I'm talking about. And I want you to have the theme song, Money, going on behind them. Money! And I want you to get it advertised. I want you to get their Apolline ads and their, I want you to get Mr. Eyebrow Threaded Dude. I want to get the face of every single one of these grifters, okay? Charlie Ward, all those bitches. And make sure you have Trump's face in there too, okay? And then you don't have my face in there, and you end it, occupy, then you can end it, final meme. Only one mission ends it all. And it doesn't cost you anything. Occupy the Getty, okay? All right, and on that, I'm going to, once again, I want to commend you people for doing the incredible work. And, pardon me, no, this is not a cult. Not a religion. But yeah, we are ending 25 million years of satanic reign on Earth. Now, if that makes us a religion or a cult, I don't know. Now, yeah, we do have Jedi warriors that work in the astral and slaughter demons in the astral. That doesn't make us a cult either. You know, the CIA just got through coming out and saying that we live in a matrix, and this is all nothing more than a hologram. Now, if you pay attention and you know what's going on, you probably knew that already, but there was an AI program came out called Best Breed, an AI thing. You could point your camera at a dog, any dog, and it would identify the breed of the dog and say, oh, this is a Jack Russell Terrier or whatever. But it would also generate a name and a location and some other information of when the person's posted this picture, supposedly. And, of course, it's all computer generated. But here's the thing. They found out that this program somehow has identified a code that can tell whether or not you're actually even looking at it, which is basically the law of the universe, which says if you're not looking at it, it's not really there. You know, if a tree falls to the forest, does anybody hear it and all that? Actually, no. If you're not there, no. If nothing's there, no. It doesn't exist. Does it exist for the insects and the animals? Yes. Does it exist for you? No. That's the nature of the matrix. They've proven this. This program will prove it, because you can focus your camera at something and look at it, but as soon as you look away, the data that's being collected that says that you're looking at it stops. Okay? So in other words, the thing knows when you're looking at it or not. So there's information encoded in the data, the image that you're looking at, that knows that you specifically are the one looking at it. So this is the nature of the hologram we live in. And you should realize that the work that we do is nothing crazy whatsoever. We've recognized the true nature of our reality. We've learned to manipulate it. What do you think manifesting is? Causing reality to come to life in front of your face. It's realizing that reality is nothing more than a hologram, and you have the ability to cause changes in the hologram to satisfy you, because the hologram is made for you and the hologram knows that you are looking at it. It's there to serve you. And this is how the universe works. So we are incredibly powerful, but at the same time, we're also the same person. So why does the algorithm need to identify each person, each separate entity looking at the algorithm? Because it's your eyeballs, it's your location, it's your input. We all have input that goes into the system. That is what creation is. That is why God created us, so that we would all have experience. We would all have a reality input that we could put into the system that causes the reality to exist, because the reality is nothing more than a dream that God is having that we are part of. That is the nature of reality. And as soon as you realize that, you realize how powerful you are, and being a Jedi is nothing more than allowing your soul to manipulate the reality and use the reality to remove the evil that has taken advantage of it and had taken advantage of us for 25 million fucking years. You should be very proud to have this opportunity and to be alive to even witness this, because what's coming next will be incredible. It will be worth the trouble. But of course, we have to work very hard so that we can stop these bastards from killing more people, doing nuclear false flags, doing this crap. Do you have any idea of how many people are dying in Ukraine every day? 700 men a day. 700 men a day in Ukraine. Now, I know that may not sound like a lot, but where do you think those men are coming from? They're not a big army that's been sitting there. That army's dead. They're yanking guys off the street. If you go to work in the morning, they're going to get you at the job site. If they catch you on the bus, they're going to get you. They see you in a taxi, they're going to get you. If you're having coffee at a coffee shop, they're going to get you. You're walking down the street, going home from work, they're going to get you. They're going to drag your ass off to the commissariat and says you've been drafted, and they're going to ship your ass off to England or France, and you're going to stay there for a month, and they're going to give you some bullshit training, and they'll teach you how to shoot, only they won't give you real bullets. But don't worry, they'll teach you how to tie a tourniquet because you're the one that's going to get shot. You know, they put a lot of effort into that. And you know what else they do? They give you drugs the whole time you're there. They tell you to kill Russians, like they're doing mind control. Yeah, give them these pills every day and tell them to kill Russians, and they'll get it programmed in their head that they got to kill Russians. You know what happens to these people? As soon as they hit the front line, they get hit with shells. Half of them die, and the rest of them get captured. The lucky ones will get captured. And you see these guys. They weren't in the military for a day. They spent a month being trained, and they go to the front line, and they mostly are killed. But most of them are captured or killed the first day. Sometimes maybe a week they might last. These are old men, 50, 55, or young kids with no experience. The whole time that they're being so-called trained, they're being told that the Russian army is crap, that they are in a much better fighting position, they're well better prepared, and yet they send them to the front line with nothing more than a rusty Kalashnikov. And this is the first time they've actually had real bullets to shoot in a gun. And half of the guns don't work. And they're having artillery shells dropped on them. Now, what kind of country does that to its own citizens? It's not. It's the United States. The United States doesn't give a shit about Ukraine. Ukraine is part of Russia. They're using Russia to fight Russia to kill Russians. It's fucking genocide, and we're doing it, and the world is not going to put up with it. And the only way out is nuclear war, and they're going to start it with a nuclear false flag, probably in a few days or not at all. We'll see. And the only thing that we've got to fight it is you guys that are printing out brochures and are going to these movie theaters. I hope you guys have figured this out. Is every single one of these movie theaters that is showing this Sound of Freedom movie, you need to be there with Getty material, and you need to put brochures on car windows. You need to be inside the lobby or right outside the theater, and you need to pass this stuff out. I don't care if you're on a sidewalk, whatever, do what you can. When those people come out of there shocked and they're thinking, oh my God, those poor children, they need to see Getty stuff, literature. They need to see my name. They need to know where to go. They can't be going to these fucking liars. That's on you people, okay? It doesn't matter what they do to me because you're going to do the work, and the work that you're doing is what's going to end this mission. And I had that comment coming from you-know-who that said, maybe I could appear and let people see my face so that you could be inspired, rally the troops. Well, again, I've been doing this for what? A good, 12 years at least now, publicly. And I've got, 450 videos on TruthCat and who knows how many others on other channels. And I've been on shitloads of interviews. There's plenty of places to see my face. You don't need to see my face. It's just not about me. The enemy needs to see my face. But you guys, you've already got what you need. You don't need to be more inspired. If I haven't got the message to you that there are fucking shitloads of children being tortured and mutilated and eaten every single day by the people we're supposedly fighting, then, if you haven't gotten that message yet, I don't know what your problem is. And it's just like these people, the person that said that we're a cult. No, we're not a cult. The people that are involved in this mission are the only people that are sane. Because if you're a human and you don't care about other humans, especially vulnerable children, being eaten by motherfucking Satanists right under your feet, if you don't care about it, and if it doesn't bother you that the very same government that taxes you and does everything else and tells you to take your vaccines, if you don't care that that very same government is abducting your children and eating them, maybe you don't deserve to be a parent. Maybe you're in a cult. Maybe you've drank too much Kool-Aid. Maybe you need to wake the fuck up and realize that if you're not working hard every day like we are to try to save these children, you're not a real human. You're a fucking puppet, and you're a fucking slave, and you have no right to call us a cult or suggest that anything that we're doing is wrong, because what you're doing is wrong. We're the only ones that are doing the right thing, which is focusing on the one and only place that is going to end this shit once and for all, because we have the balls to do it. And all last 2 weeks, I've been waiting for the fucking FBI to bust down my door and haul my ass naked out in the street so my fucking neighbors can fucking have a good laugh, before they kill my ass. Well, you know what? It's probably not going to happen. I don't care. Put those fucking brochures on those windows. Get up and do the work. Spend some money. Print the stuff out. Don't tell me, I talked to my neighbors. Get out of your comfort zone. Go do something you've never done before. Go see that movie and bring your brochures and stand outside afterwards and pass that shit out. All right? Do it. And once again, I want to thank all of you that are doing it. And I especially want to thank all of you that are in different countries that are doing it because, I'm very proud to know that this is a worldwide mission. And this is not the United States. And we go beyond all these ethnic and geopolitical boundaries. We don't recognize any of that crap because a child is a child and no child should be eaten or subjected to torture to make Satanists happy. And I don't care what country this activity is happening. It's all going to fucking end because when we go underground, there are no borders. It's all one big country. All right. And it's a worldwide government down there. And that's what we're going to have when this is all over, because we're over this fucking border shit. We're over this fighting with each other when the real enemy is the one that's eating our fucking children that we should all care about. So with that, if that wasn't inspiring enough for you, I don't know what more to tell you. Okay? I'm just going to remind you that my name is Stephen D. Kelley, and this is Truth Cat Radio. And if you want to help out, you got to use our PayPal, which is Stephen Kelley. What is it? StephenKelley.com. I'm sorry. It's StephenKelley714 at yahoo.com. And you got to say friend or family, or I take it back. And a lot of people send me emails say, did you get the gift? I'm sorry if I don't get back to you. But like I said, I can barely even check my account. I can see if something showed up on my Yahoo. But otherwise, no. It's going into PayPal is not the easiest thing for me to do. All right. So with that, I'm going to thank you again for all your hard work, and thank you again for your donations because they do help me keep doing this stuff. I'll see you next week. And if you haven't joined the Telegram channel, what are you waiting for? Okay. I shouldn't. I'm just kind of over telling you guys the same thing over and over. You know what to do, but you gotta be inspired and you gotta be motivated. And you gotta get out there and do the crap that doesn't seem normal for you. All right. So, like I said, grow a pair, get out there, be a warrior, make me proud, help me save the world. I'll see you next week. My name is Stephen Kelley. This is Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It's still July 6, 2023. It's now 6:55. See you guys next week. I'll talk to you in Telegram. And you want to be a Jedi or get the book or anything like that, you got to email me at lost17gun@aol.com. And don't confuse the email for the PayPal with the one for the correspondence. Okay? I'll talk to y'all later. Good night. God bless. Adios. Goodbye.